If you're a business owner and your website looks decent, you're probably losing a lot more money than you realize. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact 15 questions I use to diagnose whether a site is designed to convert or designed to confuse. Now, I've worked with 25 plus local service business owners in the past 3 years, and almost every single one had a website that looked fine, but it was leaking thousands of dollars in potential clients. And guess what the worst part is? They had no idea. So what I did is I created a quiz called Is Your Website Costing You Thousands? It's how dozens of business owners uncover exactly where their website is breaking trust, killing conversions, and stopping clients from ever booking or calling. If we haven't met, my name is Josh. I run Kaizen Web Marketing. My team and I help service business owners build high converting websites that actually get more jobs, more calls, and more peace of mind. And if you stay until the end, I have a bonus question for you that trumps all. If you can't answer this one right, none of the other ones matter. All right, let's get to the first question. But before we do, I want to let you know that I've broken into 4 different columns, all combining to create the most killer landing page. Number 1 is trust, then conversion design, SEO, and then lead automation. Question number 1. Imagine a potential client visiting your site on their phone. Does it load quickly and display properly? Or do they encounter delays and formatting issues? How do you find this out? What you should do right now is go on an incognito tab and search up your website, count how many seconds it takes to load, and whether or not it looks pretty. Why does this matter so much? Time has changed. Nowadays, over 60% of traffic comes from our phones, if not even more, which I expect it to only increase. So if your website only looks good on computer, you're missing out on 60+% of people. The other thing is speed time. If no one has ever told you before, more than half of visitors leave a page if they're forced to wait longer than 3 seconds. If you know how social media is and how low our attention span is, trust me, that same applies for websites. So you have to make it load fast. Question number 2, use of real photos. Are the images on your website genuine representations of your team and work, or are they generic stock photos that could belong to anyone? Why does this matter so much? Real images boost authenticity. People can distinguish stock photos. And you know what? I will always argue this. I'd much rather prefer a blurry image of you actually with your team doing whatever work you provide, rather than some guy smiling that everybody knows is just either nowadays AI generator or just a stock photo. It provides no value to the content written. That's the whole point of the idea is any image on your site needs to actually provide value to the text that's surrounding itself around. And if it doesn't, it's worthless. Next, visible testimonials. When visitors land on your homepage, do they immediately see authentic testimonials that build trust, or are such endorsements hidden away? Guys, trust kills everything. 88% of customers trust user reviews as much as personal recommendations. So if you don't display either your testimonials or a trust badge immediately, you're losing on so many people. Because nowadays, you need to provide proof immediately that what you say you are actually is true. And the best way to do that is if you have over 100 plus reviews, you better have a widget somewhere when they first click on a page that says, hey, we have 100 plus reviews. Because me, as a potential visitor and a client, will look at that and say, wow, this business is established. They really know what they're doing. I have a way higher likelihood of actually doing the actual intended action that you want me to do. You have to have testimonials placed, not necessarily in the first section, but has to be in the first 3. It has to be. If it's buried in the bottom, you're losing out on leads. Point blank, period. And then, website update recency. Consider the last time your website was refreshing. Does it reflect your current brand and services, or does it feel outdated? Why is this question so important? If you can make changes depending on the season, I always recommend doing so. The more relevant your content is to the time frame of whatever the page is, the better the chance you have of converting. It's a very simple manner. If you have text written that says in it 2024 despite it being 2025, that immediately gives any customer an ick. The more often you can be up to date, the better the conversion, especially blogs. It's a big thing that you create an article if you do write blogs very frequently. Therefore, you stay up to date with the current trends where you can actually provide value. Because nowadays it feels as if what we knew 3 months ago does not apply anymore. All right, number 5, clarity of messaging. I'd argue this is one of the most important pieces, especially if you have something that you need to describe first and foremost, if you don't have necessarily a visual design business, which is within the first few seconds of your site, can a visitor clearly understand what you offer and who you serve? I see too many times the hero section, which is the section that loads immediately when you load a website up. That first section, all the text you see before you scroll or do anything, that's called the hero section. What is included in it? If it doesn't mention exactly what you do, how can somebody truly know that they're in the right place? When someone clicks a link, they need to know that they're in the right website. And if you don't emphasize what you do so they know exactly that they're in the right place, and who you are so they know they clicked on the right link, and what to do next, therefore you can actually get more conversions, none of it matters. You have to, in the first 5 seconds, answer those 3 questions. So include a logo, include it most likely in your headline, okay? Local, let's say I'm a landscaper, top landscaper in Chester County, Pennsylvania. Some shit like that always kills. You need to make sure you emphasize what you do immediately so they know in the right place. All right. Now we're moving to the next section. This is conversion design. This is all about getting the person to convert. Arguably the most important section that I will be sharing to you today. Prominent call to action. Is there a clear and compelling call to action visible as soon as your website loads, guiding visitors on their next step? Okay. I can go on a rampage for like literally centuries about this, but if someone wanted to give you money and you made them have to find you, you'd be considered an idiot, right? The same thing on a website applies. If you want someone to book a consultation with you and you do not provide them the option immediately and they have to go and find that button to do so, you're just asking to lose money. There's no other way to put it. You're just asking to lose money. Why would you not give somebody the free accessibility to do what you want them to do with the whole website served immediately? So make sure, especially if someone's interested immediately, you don't even have to sell them on anything. Have a button immediately available. All right. CTA repetition. Throughout your website, are calls to action strategically placed to encourage engagement, or are they sparse and easily missed? So there's 2 factors that I'm talking about here. Number 1, does it appear multiple times? And what I like this, and I love this analogy, which is when a salesperson gets an objection, do they just never ask for the call again, or whatever they want you to buy, or whatever course you want, whatever it is? Or do they handle your objection, find alternatives around it, and then ask again? That's what a great salesperson does. And the same thing applies for your website. Okay, so you have a call to action immediately on the fold, but they're not necessarily ready for whatever reason. They need to know more about your business, how you can really help them and stuff. Okay, so you have to have another section, let's say testimonials, which is to break their trust. Then you have another section displaying your work so they know what they're getting out of what you're working with. And then you add another call to action, because those 2 things are meant to break their barriers of objections. And I always recommend three call to actions typically on a landing page. Now, it always varies on how long your landing page is, but definitely 2. At least bottom and top. I always recommend one in the middle as well, because it never hurts. Never hurts. All right. Customer-centric messaging. Does your website speak directly to your customers' needs and challenges, or is it primarily focused on your business? Why I ask this question, it's something that I'm going to die hard to this day, which is nobody cares about you. Like, I know that sounds so mean, but you know what they really care about? What you can do for the business. You do not care that I'm a website designer. You don't. And that's okay, I understand that. But what you do care about is, how can I help you get more conversions on your website? So you don't really care about who I am or what I do, you care about how I can help you. And you have to message your website in that same regard. Don't talk about how amazing your business is, even if it is amazing. Talk about how you can solve the customer's problem, how you're the right solution for their problem. and talk about your company's experience and history to supplement that. Don't just have a whole section of, here's why we're great. They don't care why you're great. They don't care. They care about how you can help them. All right, so keep that message to yourself. It's a very important one. Then, skimmable content. Is your website content optimized with headings and bullet points for easy scanning, or is it dense with long paragraphs? The last part, paragraphs. You never want paragraphs on a website, because I'll be honest, I don't read them. And you can be honest, you don't read them. It's long and nobody wants to read anymore. So you have to have short bullet points. If you want to have something equivalent to a paragraph, make it into bullet points. Make it spread out. Therefore, each single point has more value to it rather than a whole paragraph where every word just seems like the same. You have to have a website that is designed to scroll. And how to do that is you have to have bold headlines first and most. Your headlines have to be big. They're the ones that stand out. But you can't have long paragraphs because no one's ever going to read that. Number 10, easy contact options. Can visitors effortlessly find contact and information on any page, or do they have to search extensively to reach you? There's a point that I made in the first, which is always have this call to action available. Now I was referring to the homepage there. This is referring to your whole site. Never make anyone have to search to contact you, because you might think that they'll only find you through your homepage, but somebody might find you on Google on one of your services pages. And if you don't have a call to action there immediately placed, you're fucked. So I always recommend in your header to always have a button for what they should do next. And if it's not going to be in the header, it has to be in the arrow section. Every single page on your website, there must be a button accessible immediately for them to convert. The only other exception I could see is the blog, which is all about educational, and you would have it a little later on in the bottom or on each specific blog. But if you have a page where it's just representing every single blog of yours, that's the one exception that I can understand. All right, that was the conversion design column. Now we're moving to SEO. This only consists of 2 questions because this isn't really tied to conversions necessarily, but it's just as important in order to get as many conversions as possible, which is, when someone searches for services you offer, does your website appear prominently in the results, or is it buried pages deep? Why is this a question? This has nothing to do with conversion, Josh, but it does. Because if you can't convert traffic if you don't get it. Now again, you can run paid ads all you want, but isn't the end goal to have a machine where you don't have to pay for ads? So you have to have it, your website SEO optimized. There's multiple ways to do this. You hire somebody, you just get somebody to do something subtle on page SEO. Guys, get your website ranking. I know it's difficult, but it's instrumental to get more data into the system to know which conversions work or what's not. They say you want to get 3 weeks of results before you make a decision with conversion, but it shouldn't really be a timeline type of thing. It has to be how many views you get, because you can't make a decision off 20 views, but you can make a decision off 200. That's the whole idea I'm trying to get at. The second question is, have you optimized each page of your website with unique titles and descriptions to improve search engine visibility? There's things, I understand meta descriptions might be a little difficult to understand, but when you search on Google, you see the page title, which will be, for example, my site, Kaizen Web Marketing. I don't even know what the hell this is called. This is actually embarrassing. Just not a forward or backward slash, just the line. And then it says my different services. So I say web design, SEO, SEM, and more, because I want to rank for those different things. Then under, there's a 160 character thing that's you can customize. And I always recommend including your keywords there. Again, this isn't conversion technically, but if you don't get traffic in, none of it matters. So there's only 2 questions. I wanted to keep that concise, but they're instrumental in its own way. Then the last part, lead handling and automation, which is just as important, because these questions answer, okay, you got the conversion, you did everything right, but what happens afterward? That's just as important. So, post-form submission process. After a visitor submits a contact form, do they receive an immediate response, or are they left waiting without acknowledgement? People don't wait until you respond. They'll go to the next competition, especially if you have a service which is like an urgent. Let's say you replace water heaters. If you got what you want them to do, it's so hard to convert somebody, but you did it. Congratulations. And you don't respond within hours. Congrats, that person's going to the next person and you lost $2,500. So you have to have some system in place that can send them a text message that notifies you when someone fills out a form immediately, not just to your email. That doesn't work. No. You need a system that responds to that contact so they know that you're immediately going to be there for them. And if you're not, let's say you're away or something, you just texting them something after they fill out the form is going to hold them from contacting the next person a lot longer. So make sure you have something in place afterwards, because I'm telling you, that's what makes a qualified lead into an actual sale. All right, tracking conversion rates. This is maybe the most instrumental one, which is, are you monitoring how many visitors convert into leads? Or are you operating without insights into your website's performance? Data equals power. No matter if you implement all these tips and tricks that I've given to you, if you don't know what's working, then you don't know what to fix. So you have to test 2 different things at once and check the results of each. And then once you find the answer of that one, then you test another thing and you find the results of that. Then you test another thing. And what might just be a 5% conversion change in each single one, when you do 5 changes, it's not 5 plus 5, it's 5 to the 5th. And that's how significant of a difference it can make. So make sure you're tracking your data. Make sure you're tracking how many people are converting and then making decisions off that. But always make sure you also have enough data in to make the right decision. Then, last question before the bonus. When a new lead comes in, is their information automatically organized in a CRM, or do you manage contacts manually? This is such an important question, because you'll find out when you get leads that not every single one is going to become a sale immediately. Some might never respond to you after filling the form, unfortunately. Some might be interested but end up not buying for whatever reason. You have them in your system. Do what any smart marketer would do and nurture them over time. Do you have a database where you can send them an email once a month just acknowledging to them that, hey, I'm still here. If you need it, I'm available. Provide value, then ask. Value, then ask. It's that whole system. Everyone focuses on the 3% ready to buy, but if you can focus on the 97% that are just lurking around, that's how you beat your competition over time. All right, those were the 15 questions that I use to instantly diagnose whether a site is designed. I hope that after these 15 questions, you now know, holy shit, what to do next. All right, but before I finish, I have a bonus question, like I said in the beginning, that I think is the most instrumental one. Everything I gave you was technical advice. This last one is more of an emotional one. So, what is it? Would you actually fill out the form or call the number on your site if you were a stranger? It seems like such a stupid question to ask. This is your bonus question, Josh? Like, what is this? Like, no shit, I would. It's an emotional game. People make decisions not because this person, this, that, or this little thing is better than this. It's an emotional thing. You don't buy a car because, well, it has 5,000 RPM. I don't really know my car terms and shit. You buy a car because you love it. And the same thing goes with the business. You buy because you want to be with that business. Because you stand for their values. You stand for what they preach they do on their website. So I have a question for you. And you need to actually think about this. Not just say, oh yeah, obviously I would fucking fill out the form and call a number if I was a stranger. No. Put your eyes as your dream avatar and go through your website. Look at every single text you have, every image, and say, would this help me in converting into an actual sale? Would this image help support my decision to actually go with this company? Would this headline make sense for me to do something? Put your eye in the customer and go through your website and ask yourself, would you buy from them? Once you know the answer, if it's no, then everything else goes bye-bye, and you need to fix that first. So make sure you answer that bonus question the truth. You go through your website and go figure out where and when you can improve. That was a lot of questions. That was a lot of things that you probably didn't even think you needed to consider in the first place. And now you know what to do next. Now, I just gave you every single question. I have a quiz in place where you can actually answer each single question yourself depending on all my answer choices. Each question is scored differently. They're not all evenly displaced. The test is meant certain sections are more important than others. So I promise you, take this test, see where you stand, and after you take this test, I will send you a personalized checklist for you to check down every single question I gave to you and what I would recommend you do. So first off, subscribe, because it just makes making content that much easier knowing that I actually get people to want to listen to me. But second and foremost, take this quiz. I'm going to put a description. See what you get. See where you can improve. I'll give you an exercise plan. And if you want to, book a free consultation with me so we can go and discover where you can change stuff on your website so we can actually make you more money, because that's the end goal, right? All right. Well, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for listening to me. My whole motto, Kaizen, is the idea of 1% better every day. So go kill it today, go kill it tomorrow, and just get better every single damn day. Take care, guys.